Claire stopped leaving coffee on my side of the counter sometime in October. I noticed. I didn't say anything. I told myself she was tired, that it was a busy week, that it would go back to normal. It didn't go back to normal. 3 months after we met, I was certain I had never felt this way about anyone. 6 months in, I was certain she wasn't trying hard enough. I'm not sure when those two things switched places, but by the time I noticed the coffee was gone, Claire had already been going quiet for a long time. I just hadn't been listening. I worked as a security supervisor at a shopping center. Doors, schedules, cameras, reports. I noticed everything that was out of place. Claire said I trusted a lock more than a person. For a long time, that made us laugh. Then it stopped making us laugh. She designed public gardens and outdoor spaces. She could spend an hour deciding where a single tree belonged. We met at a conference in Porto. She laughed before I finished my sentences, not because they were funny, but because she could already see where they were going. I couldn't decide whether that was terrifying or perfect. The first argument I remember started over dinner. Claire had spent the afternoon dealing with a client who had rejected 3 months of work in a single email. She was telling me about it. I interrupted her twice to explain what she should have said. On the third time, she put down her fork. "Can you let me finish before you decide how I should have handled it?" The question was simple. I felt my jaw tighten. "So now I'm not allowed to have an opinion?" That's not what I said. It's exactly what you said. Stephen, funny you should mention listening. You spent half my sister's birthday on your phone. Claire went quiet. I knew her sister's birthday had nothing to do with dinner. I also knew the client owed her money and that she hadn't slept well in 3 days. But I had found a fault. That was enough. The conversation stopped being about the way I interrupted her. It became about who had been more disrespectful in the past month. I went to bed convinced I had defended myself. In the morning, there were 2 cups of coffee on the counter. I took mine. I waited 3 days for her to apologize. She did. I accepted immediately. I did not tell her I had spent 72 hours rehearsing what I would say when she finally came around. Claire had a way of texting before she left anywhere. I thought this meant she was considerate. It took me a long time to understand she was managing something. When she didn't reply within 20 minutes, I assumed something was wrong. When I had a difficult day, a bad call, an unexplained low feeling with no clear cause, I needed her to fix it, not listen to it. When she said the wrong thing, when she tried and got it slightly wrong, I went cold. Not intentionally. If she couldn't make me feel better, I acted as though she'd failed me. There was a Tuesday when she asked what I wanted for dinner. I said I didn't mind. She suggested Thai. I said fine. She ordered Thai. I ate in silence. Later, when she asked if something was wrong, I said no. She asked again. I said I was fine. She went back to her book. By 9, I'd convinced myself she didn't care what I wanted. It wasn't about Thai. At no point had I told her I wanted something else. I held it against her for 4 days. My parents separated when I was 11. My father left on a Wednesday. By Friday, he had a new phone number I wasn't given. I spent 20 years telling myself this had not affected me. What it had actually done was teach me to read doors. The way someone stood near one, whether a coat was on a chair or already in a hand, whether a conversation had the particular quality of someone who had already decided something. "You treat every silence like it's the beginning of a goodbye," she said once. I told her she was being dramatic. I thought about that sentence for weeks. The night she said she needed to talk, I felt it before she spoke. There was something familiar in the way the room went still. She said she felt like she was disappearing. Not dramatically, quietly. The way things disappear when no one is looking directly at them. She said she had stopped telling me about her sister because the last time she had, I spent the conversation explaining what her sister should have done differently. She said she had stopped mentioning work because I turned every story into a competition. She said she still loved me. She also said she didn't know how much longer she could love me while feeling this alone. I heard all of this, and then I said, "So you're leaving?" She looked at me. "I didn't say that. You're describing a relationship you don't want to be in. I'm describing something I want to change. Right, by leaving." "Stephen, it's fine. I knew this would happen eventually." She was quiet for a moment. "That's not a response to what I said. It's the truth. It's a way of ending this conversation before it becomes something you can't control." I wanted to tell her she was wrong. I couldn't find the part that was. 3 days later, I found one of her sketchbooks on the kitchen table. Open. She had never left her workout before. When she came in, I asked her what it was. A project she had been working on for months. She had never mentioned it. I hadn't asked. She didn't leave that night. We sat in silence for a long time. Not the punishing kind, the kind where neither person knows what to say next. The score I had been keeping wasn't about fairness. It was about fear. If Claire owed me something, she couldn't leave without paying. If I found a fault in her, I didn't have to look at mine. I had spent 6 months treating a relationship like a security system, checking for threats, looking for the exit before anyone else could find it first. What I had actually built was a room nobody wanted to stay in. I started therapy 8 weeks later, not because Claire gave me an ultimatum. She didn't. I started because one night I got home, parked outside, and couldn't make myself go in. I sat there for 20 minutes with the engine off. Eventually, I went in. My therapist asked me in our 3rd session what I thought love was supposed to feel like. I said safe. She asked what safe meant. I said, like no one's about to leave. She wrote something down. I have thought about that exchange many times since. I still notice when Claire takes longer to reply than usual. The old calculation still starts. I just don't always follow it to the end. I still feel the pull to be right. Some weeks I resist it. Some weeks I find a small fault in something she said and hold it like evidence. Now, sometimes I catch it before it becomes something I make her pay for. Last month, she told me about a difficult conversation with her mother. 20 minutes. No resolution. I listened without offering a solution. At the end, she said, "Thank you." I almost asked what for. Then I understood. She wasn't thanking me for advice. She was thanking me for not turning her problem into mine. One evening last week, I came home to find 2 cups on the counter. Mine on the left. I didn't say anything. Neither did she. But I stood there for a moment longer than necessary.